Quick civic lesson here. The legislature only writes the laws. The executive branch enforces them. Without an enforcement mechanism, laws are just words on fancy paper. Enforcement happens in two main ways: fines or jail time. So let's break down how these Tech for Teens bills would actually be enforced in Washington state if they pass. Both the AI companion chatbot bill and the personalized algorithmic feed bill would be enforced under Washington's Consumer Protection Act, which could result in fines for the offender. Enforcement of the CPA is overseen by the Attorney General's office. The Attorney General is part of the executive branch, responsible for enforcing state laws, protecting people's rights, and keeping Washingtonians safe. We spoke directly with Attorney General Nick Brown about his role and why he supports the bill.
We're the law firm for the people at the end of the day. We, on the one hand, represent government and protect government agencies, but more importantly, for me, is that we have this independent ability to see areas in our state where people are being harmed and use the law as a tool to get them relief, to get them recovery. And we do that through the Consumer Protection Act, the Antitrust Act. We protect civil rights and healthcare, education benefits, all those sorts of things. And so that's why in this particular case, it's important for us to not simply watch as we know kids are getting harmed and simply sit by and not take action when we know that there are tools that the tech industry has now to protect our kids, and we just want to make sure that they do that. Let me just be very clear, the companies that this would impact, they don't want it to pass because it would make their jobs less profitable.
Like the governor, the Attorney General can also propose legislation. From there, the AG's office works with the prime sponsor and other stakeholders to craft a bill that can successfully move through the legislature.
As the law firm for the state of Washington, we're obviously very mindful of not doing anything that would violate the law, and we want to make sure that anything that the legislature passes has the best input so they understand that there are protections in the law for the bills that they pass. And important for this bill is that it still allows people to, on their own, proactively search for whatever content they want to find. It just prevents companies from force-feeding them all this information that we know can be very damaging for our kids.
As the state's law firm, the Attorney General's office is responsible for enforcing Washington law, including suing those who violate the Consumer Protection Act. Attorney General Brown explained how the CPA works in practice.
The Consumer Protection Act is probably our single biggest tool that most Washingtonians would be familiar with. So we use that tool to prevent companies from using deceptive practices or really abusing the consumers who are trying to engage with businesses. So, a good example of the tool is if a company is doing misleading advertising, promising that a certain product will do something, that we can go in and enforce the act against them. But the Consumer Protection Act gives us really an appropriate tool in this case to make sure that if companies are not following the law, that we have a direct statutory authority to enforce it and go after them with penalties and enforcement action.
In addition to enforcement by the Attorney General, the bill also includes a private right of action. In other words, a regular person could sue a company if they think their product caused them harm. The PRA is a provision that critics argue could lead to frivolous lawsuits. The Attorney General sees it differently.
The private right of action is an important protection for individuals to take action against a company that might harm them. So, we as the state of Washington, we bring cases all the time on behalf of the state of Washington under the Consumer Protection Act, but also a private right of action would give an individual the opportunity to litigate their own specific harms. So they would have to show that, in fact, that they were personally harmed by some illegal conduct by a company, and then they could go to court and try to get relief from those harms. It's much like anything else. If you're injured in a car accident, you have a right to sue the person that injured you or their insurance company. Or if something else happened to your property, you have the right to bring a claim. This is the same idea, that if you are harmed by some social media company or tech company or what have you, by their force-feeding these addictive algorithms, then you have an opportunity to go to court. The company has the opportunity to defend itself, but having that private right of action, that ability to bring a lawsuit moving forward is really important. it's something that we have in many aspects of our law, and in this particular bill, it's one of the key provisions.
Next week, we'll take a closer look at what comes next for the AI Companion Chatbot Bill and the Protecting Children Online Act. Stay tuned.